Call order, do the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Roll right in discussion items, information, COVID-19.
Just a COVID-19 data update. Marianne, you could put up the slides that are in the packet, please. Again, 2 out of the 5 categories are still in minimal. The other 3 categories are still in substantial. So we are not in full substantial, so we are open. This is our second week at 50% enrollment on campus. I walked today with Ms. Lindquist and went and visited some classrooms, and I just want to commend the teachers. They were doing an excellent job. Most of the classrooms I visited, I had one class with 1 student, but other than that, most classes had 4 or 5. One class had 8. And the teachers were, there was a lot more student-teacher interaction, and things seem to be going really well, so I just want to congratulate the teachers on doing a nice job as we return, and I know Dr. Freitas will touch on that as well. My focus, I'll continue to follow the matrix and do the update each Friday, but my focus now is shifted to the vaccination rollout, Phase 1B. Kristen and I attended a conference call with the Cook County Health Department on Friday with other school superintendents, daycare facilities, there wasn't as much clarity as we were hoping for from the Cook County Health Department, but there was some discussion on that. They're hopeful that it could be by the end of January, the first week of February. There also was some discussion of working with local health departments so that if teachers live in one county but teach in another county, that they may be able to use the county they live in. So we are trying, that is where we are trying to shift our focus. I also met with the West Cook superintendents as well as our intermediate service director who runs the whole West Cook region, and he is trying to set up another call with the Cook County Health Department to try to get some more information to see. So the main goal is to try to get the teachers vaccinated before the end of the 3rd quarter, sooner rather than later. Our school nurse is going this week. The school nurses are put in Group 1A. So our school nurse and our school nurse assistant, administrative assistant, they were both going this week. So that's good news. And like I said, the focus would be on hopefully getting our teachers vaccinated so that we can continue to roll out our 50% plan, and some of our teachers that are remote will have the opportunity to possibly come back to the classroom. So, Dr. Freitas, do you want to touch on some of the things at the building level?
I will. First of all, Happy New Year to all the students, board members, and to all the parents. Happy 2021. Second semester has begun and is off to a great start. Our teachers present in our school building since the beginning of the year are continuing to deliver engaging remote instruction while differentiating for our in-person learners. They're continuing to make students feel welcomed, facilitating opportunities for in-person learners to learn without necessarily being on Zoom or using a Chromebook, having in-person learners be their own breakout room in class. They're projecting the class onto the smartboard so in-person learners can see their friends or emojis of the classmates at home. Really, students really enjoy seeing one another. They are having the students speak, and their voices are being captured in the classroom mic. So it's powerful to see in-person learners engage with the online learners in the classroom. That's special. Our teachers are also allowing for paper options for students when doing the work. In addition, our teachers have begun engaging in our weekly PD series, co-created by Bridget Wilma, English teacher and technology coach, and Ms. Kylie Lindquist, assistant principal of curriculum and instruction. Ms. Lindquist will be facilitating 5 for 5 Tuesdays. 5 for 5 Tuesdays is an opportunity for 5 teachers for 5 minutes each on designated Tuesdays to share educational successes and best practices that engage both type of learners. What is more, on alternating Tuesdays, Bridget Wilma will be facilitating Tech Talks. Tech Talks are workshops wherein Bridget will show teachers how to leverage tech tools to maximize learning. Bravo to our teachers, to our staff, to Kylie and to Bridget. We have seen an improvement in teaching right away, starting second semester. Furthermore, we're averaging 219 in-person learners a day. That's an increase of about 50 students per day from second quarter. Some of our families have chosen to the fully remote options or second semester. We respect their decision, we support their choice, and want to thank our teachers for continuing to deliver remote learning instruction. During the second quarter last year, as reported by a local media partner, The Landmark, about 35% of students were on track to earn one or more failing grades for second quarter. Guys, I know that was alarming, but we fixed it, we got it right. I'm happy to report that with the intervention we put in place, teacher, staff, and admin calling, emailing, teachers consolidating assignments, having relearning opportunities for students, and bringing students who needed it on campus, we reduced the failure rate to 7.3% of our student body having one failure or more, which brings us very close to pre-pandemic numbers for failures. That is a 20% drop. I want to thank the students for all their hard work. I want to thank the teachers and family members for really coming together. That is a big achievement, and I'm very proud of everybody. Now, here's what we're doing differently to positively support students, the student body, throughout the second semester. We will have more frequent review of failure rates broken down by grade level and cultural background with concrete action steps. We will have targeted PLC days for communication between teachers and family. We will have personal invitation for students who have difficulties in remote learning to make sure that they do their best to attend the schools daily. Guys, we're not going to have the same failure rate as before. We're going to be on it. We're going to be intervening, but more importantly, working together to support our student body. On January 12th, today, our extracurricular activities have resumed for in-person meetings as well as the remote meetings. And I want to recognize a special group, the Mindfulness Club at RB, sponsored by Mr. Franco. Okay, will begin tomorrow, Wednesday, January 13th from 12:40 to 1:10 p.m. What's really nice about the Mindfulness Club is that adults and students get together and meditate and reflect so they can approach whatever goal with a calm mind and a calm body. I highly recommend it. I do it in my life. I've done it with Mr. Franco and students. So please, students, engage in mindfulness, okay? It's good for the health. We'll make sure we share the information via email blast and through Remind. Athletics. We're currently in an adaptive pause for all winter sports. The IHSA Board of Directors are scheduled to meet on January 13th and continue the ongoing conversations with the Illinois Department of Public Health. For all of our athletes, I know it's hard having your passion paused, okay? But we got a couple things, happening. Because this Friday, we have RB's first ever Winter Wonderland walk-around at our stadium. You're gonna see snowmen decorated, representative of our clubs and activities. There's gonna be hot chocolate. You're gonna be able to walk around and really see all the products created by our school. I think this is a fantastic activity. Guys, please make sure you register online. Okay, we have 3 groups, and seniors, you will have your own time. You'll be Group C from 6 to 6:45, but guys, please sign up. Come enjoy Winter Wonderland with us. I wanna thank all of the parents, families, and students for attending RB's first virtual incoming Bulldog Night last week. Hundreds of families and students viewed our pre-recorded welcome presentation that covered classes offered, the upcoming registration date, athletic and extracurricular opportunities, and a chance to meet the administrators. What's more, the highlight of the evening was an opportunity for parents and students to live stream with the actual club sponsors and athletic coaches. So that was really nice. I kind of popped into several virtual breakout rooms, introduced myself, and really heard, how the coaches engage the students and given opportunities to really, follow their love and their passion. That concludes my principal's report. And for those who are interested in surveys, I will be waiting at the end of this week, and every 2 weeks I will make sure that I survey the community to get a pulse to see how things are going. I know that's something in the first semester. I will be continuing engaging the community to see how second semester is going, okay? That will be coming up soon. And that concludes
Thanks, Hector.
my report.
Thank you. And Kristen, also under COVID transition, there was a question about financials. I know you're going to touch, can you touch on that briefly?
Sure. At the COW, under my assistant superintendent report, I'll provide an updated COVID spending report like I did after the first quarter. But in regards to technology, just to get prepared for second semester, we spent $10,418.36. Just like I said, those are primarily on webcams, classroom microphones, things of that nature.
Okay, great. And at the COW meeting, you'll have a more detailed report like you did at the end of the first quarter.
Correct.
Okay, so that covers under the COVID transition, the data, update on the instruction, activities and athletics, and then the financials. So at this time, are there any questions from the board in regards to the COVID transition information?
So I do. I think, first of all, congratulations. I think it's been a really positive start to the second semester. So thank you, everyone who's been involved with that. Lots of good information shared tonight from Dr. Freitas and Dr. Skinkis, and I always forget to call you doctor. I apologize. That's very rude of me. Is this going to be available on the website in a nice synopsis? I think it'd be very helpful.
Dr. Freitas and I talked about possibly putting something out weekly to parents with some of these building updates. Is that what you were asking?
Yes.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of really good content
Yes.
that unless you're watching the Facebook recording, you may not always get to see. So having something just top of head on the webpage would be helpful.
Yes, we can take care of that.
And that's it. So I didn't have any questions. I just think it's been a real positive start and look forward to hearing those numbers continue to creep up as the semester goes on.
All right, 233 today, second day, first day, second week. Any other questions on this side for COVID information?
I would just love to hear from Michael and Lily.
Sure.
If they went in person last week, how you guys thought it went, just like the insider's view.
Okay, yeah. I've gone in person every day so far that I could have, and I really enjoyed it, actually. I definitely think that the teachers are encouraging us to speak to each other in the classroom more so than last semester, and to use our Chromebooks less. Like, they definitely give us more paper copies now, and for most of my classes at least, I'm not required to join the Zoom. And even if I do have to, it's more for attendance purposes. But I really enjoy it. I feel a lot more productive, and I know that most people who do go in person feel more productive at school rather than at home, just because it's less distractions, having the teacher right in front of you rather than on your laptop. But I thought it was a really positive experience, and there's definitely more people showing up to my classes now than there were last quarter or semester.
Yeah, I agree with everything Lily said. I went in Thursday and then today. I don't know. I think that everything she said was, I feel the same about everything. I haven't had to use my Chromebook in any class. In like our PE class, we actually playing basketball. We're doing something for once. And I think in all my other classes, yeah, we've been able to be more engaged with the teacher. We're able to be more involved, I think. And in the classes where potentially I have to be on the Chromebook, it's still more engaging now, even than before when we did it first quarter. So yeah, I agree with everything Lily said too.
And they definitely got more advanced technology since last semester. A lot of the teachers have set up like cool cameras where you can just see them projecting the board, and they have microphones that project the volume from the entire classroom so that you can hear both the in-class students and the teacher, which is cool.
Thanks, Lily. Thanks, Michael. And please
No
make
problem.
sure you thank your teachers too for trying new things and taking new initiatives in their classroom with the remote and in-person learners, because that's what the board and the community were asking for, and I think they're delivering that. So I want to make sure we recognize them.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to hear from their students that they appreciate it as well. Any other questions?
Well,
Mr. Smithing, that's information on COVID
I
transition.
think that's awesome. It's a great choice for students. FOIA request.
One FOIA request from Smart Procure. The response is attached in regards to purchase orders, purchase number, dates, line items, etc. You can find that attached in your board book.
On to visitor statements. I think we have one. So let me read my statement, then you can go. Okay. Board of Education welcomes and encourages the participation of its citizens in the business of the school district. There are 2 points in the meeting where visitor statements are scheduled. Citizens are welcome to raise questions and make comments at either one. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual and cannot be combined. Please note the Board of Education will not answer questions or engage in dialogue during visitor comments. If a person would like additional time to address the board, such a request should be submitted in writing 48 hours before the meeting to the superintendent. Thank you. Mr. Tom Jacobs.
My name is Tom Jacobs. I live at 104 Scottswood Road in Riverside, and I would like to read a letter addressed to students. Dear students of Riverside Brookfield High School, this past week, you became witness to the shocking events at our nation's capital. While it is hard to find appropriate words, remaining silent is no option. We got here because our society has cancer, the stage that is metastasizing and now threatening the very foundation of our democracy. The necessary treatment must be deliberate and precise so as not to do more harm. As we attempt to personally do our part, know you are walking a tightrope. Practice your next step today. Try to remain steady. Unlike COVID-19, the current political crisis is entirely man-made, which makes it an even greater threat than the devastating coronavirus pandemic. There will be no vaccine for the human tendency to be othering people in the misguided belief that putting someone down is a good approach to increasing one's self-worth. Don't fall into that trap. Remember that however frustrated or angry you may be, hating anyone or anything is like swallowing a poison pill and expecting the subject of your ire to be hurt. By hating, you are only poisoning yourself. No human being is as bad as the worst thing he or she has ever done. Lawbreakers must and will face consequences. Yet all forms of peaceful protest are an expression of injury, hurt, or injustice of some kind. We ignore those cries for help at our common peril. Maybe we have such a hard time understanding each other because we don't know how to listen. Maybe in addition to reading, writing, math, and science, should we also teach listening? Crises are the ultimate teachers. Listen to them. Learn from them. Watch how people react to them. Observe who is trying to extinguish the fire and who is fanning the flames. When you get overwhelmed, give yourselves permission to step away, to take care of you first. And when the anxiety subsides, as it always does, keep watching, learning, and asking questions. For one thing we know for sure, remaining silent is not a good option. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, additional discussion items at this point in the meeting, a Board of Education member may request to add an additional discussion item. I think we have one of those.
Yeah, I'd like to discuss something that, I've mentioned it in the past, but I think now with the pandemic and children may be reevaluating their desire to go to four-year colleges, maybe for whatever reasons, I think we should begin to stress more opportunities, for kids to go into apprenticeships, into building trades, or other type of apprentice opportunities here in Chicagoland. And I've been in contact with about 5 different groups and organizations and unions over the past 2 weeks, all very favorable conversations. And I think, college isn't for everybody. And, I think we have great opportunities here to be able to help kids who, through no fault of their own, elect not to go to college. And what I'd like to do is have a focus on, trades or some type of career readiness opportunities. And I'd like to spearhead that with the contacts on the outside. Maybe we put something up on our website, more like informational stuff. I think there's opportunities out there, and I think it would be a great asset to have. And I'm not saying it's not happening right now with the counselors, but I think I'd like to put more of a focus on that, on searching for these opportunities. And all the feedback that I've had so far, has been extremely favorable from all the different representatives, the Chicago Building Trades, Cisco, some other local unions, and they're more than willing to come here, and put on, like, they can do Zoom type introductions or info meetings, stuff like that. And I think, we probably should start looking at kids maybe as young as sophomores or juniors, and not wait until kids are, in first year or second year, senior year. Things have changed, dramatically for just about everybody on the planet. And I think if we have something, we start planting seeds for those, who don't go to college, we can offer them something, offer them a path for a career. And again, I'm not saying we're not doing that right now, but I'd like to focus on that and try to, offer some ideas. And
Dr. Freitas and I can meet with Miss Augustine, and I know we did, a year or two ago, we did a career fair, but maybe we can expand that and some of the suggestions you're offering. And so let Hector and I work, we'll put that on our list to talk about with Miss Augustine, and then we can loop you in and work through you and your contacts. And
yeah, because I think the career days are great, but those are one and done. And
Right.
I'd like to have something more consistent and start planting the seeds, to make it more of a permanent
Okay.
reminder for all of us.
I'd like to add to that, we do we go to the career and college and career webpage, and it's very detailed how to apply for college. We are very, very good at it. And to navigate through the apprenticeship is not necessarily an easy thing. And it might be even harder if your home doesn't, isn't fluent in English, right? So I think there's an opportunity for us to really help navigate that process. We do a really great job of navigating through. College applications can be complicated. The apprenticeship application is no less
Well,
complicated.
I think too,
So I think there's
this
some
isn't
good opportunities
de-emphasizing college. It's putting more emphasis on, the groups, that, again, through no fault of their own, may not want to go to college for whatever reason. And at the very least, we can be able to offer them a pathway, a career pathway. And apprenticeship opportunities, you might pay an application fee, but you earn while you learn. And so I think we should expose, the men and women, to these opportunities. And I've got a phone call into the Chicago Women in Trades to try to get them, to come out here and see if they can talk to some people, talk to interested females, if they have any interest in getting into the trades. So there's a lot of different things that we can do, and I think it's, there's plenty of partners that are more than willing to come in and talk to us and tell us about their story, what they can do for us. And I'd like to see them start coming in.
All right, well, this is additional discussion. So normally we would discuss this at the end of the agenda, or are we doing this?
Well, we seem to have
Right, yeah.
been doing it now.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, I'm
I
sorry.
mean, we could come back to it if you.
Nope.
Well, we can add it to, it's additional, we
Well,
can
yeah,
add it to
it
next, we
usually-
can add it to the cow, we can add it to.
No,
No, it
at the
usually
end of the
then
agenda is where
goes
we discuss these.
to number 11. Like, you say it at 6, it goes to 11. It's not a big deal. I was just gonna,
Yeah, there are two, so we might be confused. There's the topics for future discussion, where you get more information and bring in staff. And then there's the adding something that you want to discuss specifically today that didn't make it on the agenda today. So
Okay.
was that what you wanted to discuss today?
This
I
is for
think
the
I've
future.
said what I wanted to say. I'd like for it to be an open conversation moving forward.
Would you like it like on a future, like when
Yes.
Tom introduced bringing on our student members? You know, that was a future topic, and then we, started working towards that.
Yeah, and I'd be happy to make arrangements, if we want training coordinators, representatives from the different building trade unions or organizations to come out here and speak, at the board meeting, or get them here during the day to speak to, the counselors. Yeah, that's what we really want to work with, the counselors and the admin. And I'm confident they're fully aware of these opportunities, but I think, I think now more than ever, the kids that are not going to college, do not plan on going to college, need our help.
I think what we could do is allow Hector and I to go back, especially Hector, to work with Ms. Augustine and the counselors, figure out what we are currently doing, what could be improved upon, work with you, and then as a future agenda item, we could bring back a presentation and some things we would like to do, or
Yeah,
Others can grow.
please,
I think that's great.
I want to make certain that, this isn't an indictment that things are not being done. That's not the point of this conversation, what I'm bringing up. It's just to try to put more focus on this and have more discussion, as a board in the community for this opportunity.
well, that's what I was gonna say is like, last year, a year ago, right, we were having discussions like this about choices for kids and, right, and then the focus changed. But it's time, now that we're stable and we see a light at the end of the tunnel, it's time to start talking about these things again. So I appreciate your hard work. We want to be able to give kids choices while they're here, and we want to be able to prepare them. I mean, the whole job, right, that they're here is to prepare them for their future. They are either in the workforce or they're entering the workforce for a full-time job, and we
Well,
need
I
to be
think
looking
it'd
at
be
those opportunities, right?
Great, for all of us here, if we were able to place kids into a trade or some type of career-ready opportunity, and they can look back and say, thank you, the people of RB, thank you, Riverside Brookfield High School, for exposing me to this opportunity that I may not have been aware of previously. And, I think little things like that, I pledge my support, spend as much time as needed to help kind of shepherd that if needed, or whatever is needed.
So, Dr. Skinkis, Kylie also had been working on an internship program.
Correct.
For credit over the summer. That I
correct, it is
think-
in our curriculum
It's in our
guide.
curriculum guide that, so Bill.
I think this is a little more slated towards the trades, and actually,
Okay.
if I'm hearing you correctly, if you want, with the exception of the career fair or the day we brought in the trades,
Yeah.
and Dr. Freitas and I will work on this again, I think this is just an
Yeah,
additional.
trades,
I think the
machinists.
concern is though, after that day, you can go online and still find stuff on the website where that would help with more college application process and some things. They want to, I think you're looking to expand so that kids have a contact person, and we have some contacts established, so if a kid comes in 5 weeks after a career fair and says, I want to get into a plumbing trade, or I want to go into.
Exactly.
Right, we have a contact set up at Student Services that could then reach out to your contacts that you help us establish.
Yeah, and help them
Exactly.
navigate that
I
process.
want to make sure
Because
that,
they
the
come to
parties get together.
to the counselors and they
it's
say,
Not just a name.
how do I do
Right,
this?
I think we can report out on this in a few weeks, give us some time to work on this with
Yeah.
Student Services, and then we can come back as a future agenda item and have Ms. Augustine and talk
Yeah,
about it.
another thought, kind of related yet separate, I'm not sure however you want to look at it, but there's a lot of RB alum who own businesses, whether it be in the area or, in the area. And that's a potential area to tap as far as see if they can be open to having internships.
Well, that's where the intent was with the internship. It's in our summer
Okay.
curriculum, is that if they could get a summer internship to work with some of our RB alum or.
Okay.
Yes, so we do have that already established in the curriculum guide. But this summer was the first summer for that, and we had the COVID pandemic, so. But I think we need to advertise that a little more. I hear you loud and clear, and let Hector and I work on this a little bit. We'll get back to you at a future meeting. Okay?
Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda. Action item, the approval of minutes.
Okay, I'll read the motion. The Board of Education, Township High School, District 208, Cook County, Illinois, takes the following action on the listed consent agenda items. Approves minutes from the meeting held on December 8th, 2020, open and closed, as presented in the January 12th, 2021 Board Agenda Packet.
This is all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. So the old business, life safety, sustainability.
So we added the word sustainability so that we could report out on any of the, some of the green initiatives and sustainability initiatives that we're working on, that Joel Hatchie and Kristen touched on at the December report. At this time, we have no new information. Kristen is working on an RFQ, which is one of our final requests for proposals, RFP, excuse me, for our guardrails and some of the railing modifications and repairs that needed to occur under life safety. And so I would imagine the board will see those in February, correct, Kristen?
February cow will be the first read.
Okay. And we're still working on, one of the first sustainability things we're working on is trying to put in the car charging ports and shifting our driver's ed cars to electric cars.
Well, that's fun.
So we're still working on that. We talked some more today, and we have a couple of feelers out. We're trying to get some dealerships to possibly work with us on rates for an electric car to use for driver's ed.
Very positive. Press policy, issue 106.
There were no questions submitted, and the board got the information at the December meeting. We went through the policy council recommendations, so I think we're okay to approve tonight.
Any questions? No, let's read the
Excuse me,
motion.
I'll read sorry. The Board of Education, Township High School, District 208, Cook County, Illinois, approves Press Plus Policy Issue 106 as presented in the January 12th, 2021 Board Agenda Packet.
All right, this is another all in favor, all in
We
favor?
need a second first.
Wait, excuse me, sorry.
Second,
Thank
Gina
you.
Sierra, Gina Sierra, Mayor.
It's all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. New business, payment of bills.
We did have some questions submitted. Kristen, can you touch on those questions?
Sure, there were 4 questions. The first is on Board Book page 58 in regards to Berwyn Garage for our safety inspections. There's not a location in district that provides these services, which is why we go out to Berwyn. It's not a common service that most garages provide. The 3 additional questions were submitted on Board Book page 87. The refrigerators for the main office, which several staff members use to store their lunch, as well as food for the entire staff for institutes and meetings. It replaced an old used refrigerator that we had donated to us 6 years ago. that stopped working. We had been fixing it throughout the years, but the door would no longer stay shut, so we replaced that. The Keurig machine is used by the main office staff, some support staff, and substitutes to make coffee. The previous Keurig machine was also donated to us about 4 or 5 years ago, and that also broke. Staff members do provide their own K-cups if they choose to use that machine. And then lastly, the microwave stand is for the nurse's office. They brought in a microwave that they had at home, but we needed a stand because the microwave is situated in the closet, in the storage closet, so that it's not on a counter by the sink and near medical supplies. During a normal school year, typically the nurse and the nurse's assistant eat lunch at their desks in order to continue to provide services for students, so they appreciate having a microwave in their office. And those were all of the questions submitted on bills.
Any further questions?
Nope.
All right, let's read the motion.
Read the motion? Okay. The Board of Education, Township High School, District 208, Cook County, Illinois, approves the payment of bills as presented in the January 12th, 2021 Board Agenda Packet.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Sierra, and this is a roll call vote.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Historic property resolution.
Okay, so we did get one question on this. So a historic property resolution is something that's been going on in the district even prior to my arrival. I do not have in front of me the actual ballpark number of the financial impact. The idea is so that any properties deemed historic properties under the Olmsted Act still can qualify for property tax under the school district's levy. So this is a formality that the school board approves each year to address, to make sure that those properties are included in our levy for property taxes. Kristen and I would need to do a thorough search through property tax ID numbers to identify historic properties and what, like, the financial impact is, if that's something I can follow up on the question that was submitted.
I wonder if the township assessor could provide it, since it is limited to one township. And again, it doesn't need to be precise. I just, and my question wasn't about the particulars of the resolution. I just would like to know the general
Impact.
value of what we're providing.
Okay. Kristen, can you call, I think it's Ms. Stankiewicz, right? That's who we work with at the township?
Yes, I will add that to my list.
Thank you. We'll get that back. I'll put it in a Friday update.
Thank you.
There were no other questions submitted on the historic property resolution.
All right,
I will read
motion.
the motion for the resolution. The Board of Education, Township High School, District 208, Cook County, Illinois, approves the historic property resolution that certain assessment relief provided by the Illinois Property Tax Code for historic buildings not apply to taxes that are levied by the Board of Education of School District 208 as presented in the January 12th, 2021 Board Agenda Packet.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Sierra. This is a roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Yes. A resolution regarding board member employee expenses.
So again, another annual formality. This is statute. A few years ago, to provide the history on this, a few years ago, there was a new statute passed due to board member expenses and travel expenses and attending conferences. And so each year, school boards pass a resolution that identifies kind of like the thresholds that can be used, and those same thresholds are then used for any staff travel that may occur throughout a fiscal year. And so this is the resolution that Francis gave us a few years ago, and applies to policy 2:125 and policy 5:60 for employees. At the end, what Kristen and I decided is it's cleaner at the end of each fiscal year, when we give our second professional development report, we can address to the board if there were any expenses from a summary report for board expenses for travel and or staff. Obviously, won't be any probably this year due to COVID, And historically, our school board does not stay overnight at the school board conference or travel to the national school board conference. So we really haven't had any travel during my tenure, but we'll provide a summary report at the end of the fiscal year when we kind of close out the year.
I think that would be helpful, thank you, the staff and the school board. I agree, it's not a big dollar amount, but I just think to tie it all together, it'd be helpful to have that report.
Okay. Any other, there were no other questions submitted, Mr. Smithy.
Okay, let's read the motion.
Motion, okay. The Board of Education Township High School District 208, Cook County, Illinois approves the attached resolution from District Legal Counsel to be in compliance with Board Policy 2:125, Board Member Expenses, and 5:60, Expenses, as presented in the January 12th, 2021 Board Agenda Packet.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Sierra. This is another roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Consultant agreement, phone services?
Our 3-year agreement with the phone consultant to help us with our normal telephone service lines is up, and so Kristen is proposing that we start a new agreement with a new consultant, and I will let Kristen speak to, I think there was one question submitted.
Sure. So included in the board packet is a consultant agreement with Wilson Consulting. The district previously used Wilson Consulting in February 2018 to evaluate our required POTS lines, which is plain old telephone service, as well as to secure quotes for the services related to those POTS lines. As a result of him evaluating the POTS lines, the district saved money by eliminating unnecessary lines. Specifically, we saved roughly $1,680 a month, which translated to a little over $20,000 a year. This agreement is, not something we anticipate needing to use on a regular basis. Specifically, we plan to use this consultant to secure proposals for our telephone services for our POTS lines, as well as creating an RFP to secure quotes for updating our existing voicemail system and phones that are no longer being supported. And both myself and our director of IT do not have this very specific, intricate expertise, and it's important that the phone service and the actual phones talk and are compatible. So we really need this consultant to not only look at the RFP for the actual phone service, but as well to make sure that it's compatible with the phone system. He has already recommended that we can update our existing phone system, our physical phones, as well as the voicemail, instead of getting new phones. And so that already has saved at minimum $10,000. So I think he's shown his weight. The expenses would not exceed a little more than $3,000. And so I'm bringing this proposal to you, hopefully for approval tonight, so he can go ahead and get started. This agreement originated from the district's legal counsel, and the consultant has already agreed to the terms.
Those are the only questions submitted. Any other questions?
Questions, right?
I don't have a question. I just thank you, for doing it right, and saying that you and Mike maybe aren't sure of every T and every I that needs to be crossed and dotted, so so we're doing it right, because, and my kids aren't here anymore, but one of the and I don't know if this is still an issue, but one of the knocks is like, I can only send the teacher an email, the phones just around here just don't work.
Yes,
right?
about 4 or 5 years ago, we had several issues with our phone system, and there were days where it just stopped working, and nobody could call in, and parents could only email us. So, by using this consultant, we can avoid something like that from happening.
In the future, right? Because that's not an issue anymore.
Correct.
Okay. I don't want to make it seem like we have a horrible issue, because we don't.
No,
but we
that's
want to
been
avoid
correct.
that by doing it right.
We worked through that.
Thank
and
you.
I remember in 2018 when we found it, because we had phone lines just hanging out all over the place, paying every month. It was good. Okay. Okay. Any
Okay, I'll
questions?
read the
We'll read the
motion.
resolution. Motion.
The Board of Education, Township High School, District 208, Cook County, Illinois, approves the agreement with Wilson Consulting for securing proposals for telephone services presented in the January 12, 2021 Board Agenda Packet.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Sierra. It's another roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. School calendar.
This is the first read for the school board. We'll have a second read at the January cow. We may need a third read in February if legislation changes. So we usually use the months of January and February to approve the district calendar. Also with some of the uncertainty surrounding COVID, we need to be prepared for that. Attached, you'll find, it says draft number 4, just as Mary Ann and I continue to mess with dates and get feedback from feeder schools, and we shared a copy with our collective bargaining unit. This is the proposal for a traditional school calendar for next school year. There are a couple things. Obviously, this is a draft. I just want to make note, October 11th, we have a couple different options. Right now, the state still has deemed as one of the state holidays is Columbus Day. I know some schools have changed that to Indigenous Day. Some schools use non-attendance day. So as our first draft and discussion, that's something that we need to discuss on how you would like to proceed with that. Again, I anticipate there may be some legislation that will change that. That's being proposed in Springfield, but I don't know when that will take effect. And so it's up to the board if you'd like to leave that as Columbus Day or change the name of that. We can discuss that. I did, as I stated earlier, I did meet with the feeder schools and showed the calendar as well. The only thing that would impact this calendar, if for some reason a statute is passed that extends the school year or expects future years to be extended, that's something we need to keep on our radar. One other thing that would not be reflected in this calendar but would cause me to bring an amended calendar to the school board for us to get started in August. Right now, we're slated to start on the 12th and the 13th with 2 institute days like we were scheduled to do this year, and the first day of school would be on August 16th. In the event we are still going through a vaccination process for students so that we can do traditional school day with 100% attendance, if I needed to extend the start date, if we needed to move it back to closer to September and move the end of the school year closer to after Memorial Day and closer to June, that would be something we would I want to make sure it's on the record we're discussing that. It's not something we're prepared for at this time, but if the vaccination process does take longer than expected and we are going to, and the state requires students to be vaccinated to start the school year, I would prefer that we extend the calendar so that we can start and do a full school year with 100% attendance in traditional school year to allow enough time for the vaccination process to occur. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not saying that will occur, but I just want to make sure that we are aware of that. So other than that, this has the 175 student attendance days, the 1 day for parent-teacher conferences, the 4 institute days, and the emergency days as the current state statute requires.
Amending is pretty straightforward, right? It's like,
It's
you would bring the change, we would discuss it for a couple of minutes, the why, and then it would just be
Correct.
okay, right? It's not a huge process if we need to
Correct.
do
The
something.
main
like
thing that we
right?
try to get this out sooner rather than later to ourselves and the feeder schools is so parents have an idea of when winter break is and when spring break is. The feeder schools all start at slightly different times. They start slightly later, usually a week later than us. The main thing is to try to allow plenty of time for families that have students both in a feeder school and the high school so that they can kind of time up the major start dates, end dates, and the spring break and winter break.
Well, and I think, yes, and some teachers use it as a basic planning structure, right, for
Yeah, I
units
don't know
and
if teachers are
quarters
planning a year ahead at this point in time,
Well,
but I would say, yes, I understand that.
Any thoughts?
or if nothing else, planning their flights out of town, right? For someday, for better days.
So,
No questions were, actually, you did submit the
So
question
Black-
about the length
yeah,
of it.
so I just read about the Black Caucus bringing up the possibility of more pupil days. How does that affect our world? How does that affect?
Right now,
us
the
as a
public
district?
school calendars there's some set parameters in statute that we follow in the school code. And so, our updates from the superintendent organization and the high school district organization said that the bill that passed the House and Senate recently, they removed the extending of pupil attendance days, and they're gonna take that to the P20 Council, which is a council that was established in Springfield that included elementary, high school, junior college, secondary schools. They kind of help serve as an advisory council to the State Board of Education and to the legislature. And so this would be, so it's tabled for right now for a future recommendation from the P20 Council.
So if I could jump in, actually, the bill that passed, to track with what you just said, requires, whether it's that group or State Board of Education, now to issue a report by the end of 2021.
Correct.
Which, in my opinion, really defers any action for quite some time. If we know that students have lost opportunities and classroom time and education time, to kind of wait for the state to give us guidance, I'm not sure that's the best place to start.
So when Mr. Smithing submitted that question, I sent his a question to our legal counsel, and to extend our school year, she felt at that point, right now, we would still need to follow what's in the current statute, which is not to exceed 185, which includes 5 emergency days. So we're currently within the parameters of the statute. She also felt that anything that would be extended over that would need to be negotiated with our union, because you would have to compensate for possibly compensate for the extending the work year. So I did look into that with legal counsel, and she was gonna get back, give me another response. She wanted to look into it a little further, but she thought that there had to be some additional language amended in the school code in order for us to use a different term.
That is to exceed the 185 or to exceed the 176?
You can exceed the 176 if you want to eliminate institute days. So the parameters say it has to be a minimum of 176 student attendance days, unless you use 1 for parent-teacher and 4 institutes. If you do not do 4 institutes, then you have to, every less institute needs to be added on for student attendance. But the total would be the 180.
Okay.
So the 5 emergency days are in the statute, because I looked that up.
Correct.
Even though we don't need emergency days in this district because we have a virtual option.
Correct. But again, the statute's written from the top to the bottom of the state.
Right.
I don't ever, and I would never say never, but I would say with the remote learning plan and the e-learning plan that we already have approved, we have identified that we could do, it's safer instead of doing an emergency day. But at this point, the flexibility is not there where you can say, hey, let's eliminate those 5 emergency days and put those in as pupil attendance days. That's what I was trying to get clarification from legal counsel. And at this point, she didn't think we could do that. And we definitely would need to bargain that.
Right.
It was her opinion, but she wanted some more time to look at that.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why that was pulled so quickly from the stuff down in Springfield, because can't afford another, districts can't afford another unfunded mandate from the state, especially one of the magnitude of 5 extra student attendance days, without bargaining those with every school district in the state.
Yes, I think our support groups, like the superintendent group and some of the information I shared with the board in the Friday update, was the concern with that is, by extending the school year, if you have to bargain that, and that's going to have additional budget implications, there's already some uncertainty on what's going to happen with the evidence-based funding, state funding, and some of the other financial impacts of property tax collection from COVID and the pandemic, the COVID pandemic. So that was one of the concerns, and I think that's why that portion was pulled from the bill.
Plus,
Yeah, I think it's just tough. I mean, the incoming freshmen have less education than
well,
the 4 grades in high school today. And I think that's just, it's a quandary, right?
Yeah,
best for the
also,
kids.
the juries, I mean, I know everyone has a very strong opinion about learning loss, but my opinion is that the jury is still out on that subject. For instance, in my district today, we are testing kids on NWEA MAP remotely, because we have not started our hybrid program yet. So what are those numbers gonna look like? We don't know yet. What are the implications of that? We don't know yet. So, and I recently read an article of a woman who's probably about my age, who, went through the war in like Yugoslavia, Serbia, right? And says that she missed like 4 or 5 years of school. But she is a successful business person who I know every kid doesn't have the gumption to maybe go on and do that, but it was just a article about how maybe it's not as bad as we think it is.
I think there will be a definite impact at the K through 8 level. At the high school level, I think it's still to be determined.
The impact might be very uneven.
That's true too, right?
Some
What did you say?
So the impact we may find is very uneven.
Uneven,
some
yeah.
student groups.
Within districts, within areas of the country, within, right?
But
Within
more
areas of
time-
the district.
More time isn't gonna hurt, right? Like more time in learning would never hurt.
Sure, I agree.
I'm just saying.
The extra 5 days, that'd be terrible for the next 4 years. I don't know. Anyway,
What I'll do is I'll continue to work with Nikki from Frantic, and when we discuss this again at the COW, see if I can get any additional updates on, like, what is their flexibility as long as we're within that 185.
well, and I think this is, as we're talking about the calendar, this is when we have to talk about these things. It doesn't, that's why we talk about this as the business of the district, right? Well, we have to talk about it. Well, thank you for looking into that, Dr. Skin, because I appreciate it, because it's for the kids. Okay.
Oh, this is a first read, so
Yeah,
we're
we don't-
now.
Yeah,
there's no
first
more.
read, this is now, we're not
we're not ready for that
finalize
yet.
this. We don't finalize this calendar till February.
Usually a February business meeting,
Right.
so we got some time.
So we got some time, and that's why we have first reads, and that's the whole idea. Okay. Matters for close, personnel, sale, lease of property pending imminent litigation, collective negotiations, and school safety. It's another point for visitor statements. Discussion items requested,
I think we had that discussion
we
already.
did. Future meetings, that's actually kind of what we talked about. And then closed session, we'll read the motion.
Okay, the Board of Education, Township High School, District 208, Cook County, Illinois approves wrong line. Board of Education, Township High School, District 208, Cook County, Illinois enters closed session for the purpose of considering appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, purchase, sale, lease, of real property, probable imminent and pending litigation, collective negotiations, and school safety.
We get a second on that?
Second.
Okay, so roll call for close?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, so we will meet up in,
Is that-
nope,